go to wrestling and all that's in between. On the MIC, it's the KEY to recall what we see. Like a magic trick, can take you back, so open sesame. Come with us, we'll take a ride through epic memories. It's that nostalgia that hits you hard and gets you every time. That do you remember? Makes you laugh and sometimes makes you cry. It's the bops, the shows, the shops. Frank and Jen don't stop. Welcome everybody to Dillos Pop.
This is Dillos Pop.
What?
Dillo is Diz here on our modest YouTube channel, but also in our podcast feed later on this Monday, May the 1st. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and maybe for the next 30 to 45 minutes, who really knows how long these Dillo Pop episodes go. I'm trying new things out here as the Pop logo appears on the live stream screen. We're here to bring a little bit of an extension from the Theme Park Thursday podcast that Jen and I do each and every Thursday, and create some spin-offs, as it were, just like as you would see on any TV series. Here in the podcast form, we like to go on tangents, and so this is an extension of those tangents here on Dillos Pop.
Yay. So do we have to say it like that every time? I think we should. I feel like we should.
We probably should. I think that's how it should go. But if you're checking out Dillos for the first time ever, because this is the first one we've ever done, but you're checking us out for the first time, Jen, and I'm Frank. Allow us to introduce ourselves. Over to you, Jen.
Oh, yeah. So we are Jen and Frank. We are siblings. Frank is much, much older, at 7.5 years older than me. And we have been doing Theme Park Thursday podcast, which is more Disney based, but sometimes we'd go off on our tangents about other things we love, which is pretty much under the umbrella of pop culture. And we've been doing that for about 5 years. This is the 5th anniversary of it. So we figured, what better time than now to start a little spin-off so that maybe when we do go on tangents or start new tangents, they can be here and we can talk about TV shows and movies and music and all the things we love outside of Disney, or sometimes an overlap. Who knows?
Yeah, so that's where we are. That's what it's about. I am the older brother. That's fine. It was my 48 and a half birthday on Saturday. That's fine. I'm fine.
Birthday. Oh, wow.
Fine. It's fine. 18 months away. It's fine. And, historically, if you're checking this out for the first time, whether here on the live stream or in the replay or in the podcast feed, historically, my Wi-Fi service is terrible. And we had a good run. We did a year where it was a really good run. And now the last couple of weeks, I feel like maybe it reflects more of chaos.
Sure.
Because when things are more chaotic, like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was, significantly glitchy.
Yeah.
Because everyone was doing this stuff all the time. And now Jen and I's life have been chaotic for about a month. And I feel like the glitchiness has returned. So maybe it is my energy. I got superhero powers, maybe. That is causing this disruption in my Wi-Fi service. So if you're in the chat this morning, good morning here on Monday, May the 1st. And I think we'll get things started. Should we get things started? Because it is May the 1st. Jen, what does that mean?
It's gonna be May.
It's gonna be May.
It was a perfect day to start a pop podcast.
Yeah, I know some people thought, well, Frank, with your Renaissance Festival history background, it is May Day. Do we need to get the maypole out and the ribbons and dance around the maypole? No,
we're not doing any of that.
Maybe some Renaissance Festival updates later this week. But I know Jeffers is in the chat here, so I dropped that intentionally. But we're gonna start off by talking about "It's Gonna Be May." The song "It's Going to Be Me." I don't know if you know, for those of you out there, the song is actually "It's Gonna Be Me."
What? What do you mean?
But it has grown into this phenomenon the past 11 years or so, and has become, what everyone says as April ends. It used to be, it was March, in like a lion, out like a lamb, and then April showers bring May flowers, and now it's gonna be May.
Yeah, I feel like the journey of social media has just blown this up more because I feel like it went from a meme to a GIF to now TikTok videos and Instagram reels and all the things. So it's like it's just growing in popularity. It's not going away. It just keeps happening in different ways.
Yeah, and much like I mean, those are the things that kind of I look back to that time about 10, 11 years ago, and I think about things that I like the It's Gonna Be May thing was funny, and I enjoyed that social media. Again, when it is used in a positive, let's all be communal in our shared experience ways. I got a kick out of that. You know what I really liked 10 years ago or so? The Harlem Shake. I thought the Harlem Shake. I
Oh,
want the Harlem Shake to come back.
okay.
So I loved when people were like just modestly dancing, and then the angle would change and things would get crazy.
Yeah, yeah. You should start a campaign.
To bring it back.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean,
All right.
I was always sad that I had stopped teaching at that point because my classroom was prime. Like
Mm,
where I was always like in the basement of the student union, like far away. Like the out there professor is down there in the basement of the student
right.
union. Go find him.
Uh-huh.
And it would have been perfect for that. And I was always sad during that time period that I never got to have my classes engage in that.
All right.
But this isn't about the Harlem Shake. This is about It's Gonna Be May.
But we have tangents. Tangents will continue here on Dillos Pop.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh, it's
I gotta
okay.
be
There you go.
ready
You
at
gotta
the
be
gate
ready
for that. I
constantly
missed
for
the
the
logo
image. If
popping
you're
up.
listening to the audio version, we have just the image popping up on our YouTube channel
Pops.
constantly. Haha.
So it's gonna be May. It was the second single off of the second album of NSYNC's album, No Strings Attached,
Yeah.
which came out 23 years ago
Oh God. Uh-huh.
in the year 2000.
Yikes.
Jen, I
Yikes,
think,
yikes,
I mean, and
yikes.
maybe I'm wrong in saying this because Mama Dillo is very much Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am a little bit more Backstreet Boys just based on experiences.
Okay.
Are you more NSYNC than Backstreet Boys?
I don't think I've ever taken a side. And I know many of our friends in the social media community do take very specific sides. I'm looking at you, Adam, from the Mouse is More podcast, and Long Island Frank. But I don't know. I guess probably around that time, if I'm thinking about that time specifically, I probably did gravitate more towards NSYNC. I don't know if their popularity was just a little bit bigger, like because I graduated high school in 2000.
Mhm.
And so I feel like senior year, there were people talking more about NSYNC, and it's almost like Backstreet Boys. But,
Mhm.
Backstreet Boys, everybody.
Yep.
How does that not just bring it all together?
Right.
So now I feel like they're pretty equal, but, you know.
Right. I mean, and I think that, yeah, I mean, obviously, because Timberlake then took off for the rest of the millennium after that. But
Yeah.
the album No Strings Attached dropped the month that you graduated high school, if you want to get
Yeah.
specific.
Fantastic. That wasn't 23 years ago, though, so that's weird.
You
I
were
don't
too
know.
busy listening to the Sunscreen song.
Oh,
And
God. I'm just listening to Vitamin C and getting depressed. As we go on. God, I'm graduating. I can't handle the change. Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean,
What
and
about me?
so NSYNC is I would say, just again in my experience, secondary. But I would say, I mean, you mentioned everybody, so I went ooh because I was
Mhm.
prepared to say that Bye 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 of all the boy band songs
Mhm.
is the greatest. But then you said everybody, and I was like, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to say that. I don't know if I
Yeah,
can put those two songs against one another.
I know. That's tough. That's really tough. And it's really funny now, 23 years later. There are, we for those of you that don't know, we also have kids. I have an 8, almost a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. Frank has a 7-year-old. And there is this thing called Go Noodle and Kids Bop and all these things. And um a lot of the boy band songs have like been redone on these forums. So the kids are like, oh, I know this song. And then I'll play the actual version. They're like, wait, what is this? And I'm like, yeah, this is the real version of it. What are you talking about? So it is also crazy to see it like take on its new shape and forms all this time later. But I also feel like there's been more Backstreet Boys in those worlds than there have in, I don't know. I haven't done proper scientific research on this, but now I might have to.
Yeah, and I don't know because and I know this is where we're going with this in the overall TRL era. Again,
Yeah.
things that kind of define us, and we've talked about it a lot on Theme Park Thursday, where we've had former castmates of the all new Mickey Mouse Club on.
Hmm.
That was a show, despite our age range, our age gap, the different age, that kind of brought us closer together.
Right.
And because there was something for Jen, there was something for me. And then I would say then again, kind of TRL.
Hmm.
I was getting up close to mid-20s,
Yeah.
but Jen was graduating high school. So again, it was kind of this thing that was right in between our age range, I would say.
Yeah.
So for me, the boy band stuff, what I appreciated was that, I guess at this point you can say it was like the last great stand of music videos, and I'm an
Oh, yeah,
MTV
for
kid.
sure.
So that is, in some ways, yes, they do make music videos. Does anyone know they're out there? Not really. But that era, that countdown on TRL after every afternoon, there were some great music videos attached to that. And Bye 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 definitely, and both of those videos and everybody, again, had those elements. And that is to say, I bring up the all new Mickey Mouse Club too, because Justin and JC from NSYNC, and then Brittany and Christina. I mean, they were all Mouseketeers, a little past my period of watching the all new Mickey Mouse Club, but a little bit closer to Jen, though. I don't. You watch some of the later seasons, but not to the same extent. Would you say then? Because this was something to me, and maybe you as a little more in touch with the music of the time also. It's Gonna Be May. It was the only #1 single from NSYNC.
What?
Yeah. And
That's
so
crazy.
that surprised me, the Billboard Top 100. Like if I did the Wikipedia, I was surprised that Bye Bye Bye. And what's the other one that was always really big? I'm not to think of right now because now I have Backstreet Boys running through my head.
I know, me too. Nope, can't think of it right now. It'll or is it pop?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Jen, if you could you rank your top 5 all-time TRL songs? I'm glitching. I know I am.
No, you're okay. My top 5 TRL songs. It's so hard. You know what's really hard? So on Spotify, you can find TRL playlists out there, and when they start playing, all of a sudden I'll remember something. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about this video, or I forgot about that video. So, I feel like you got to have Britney in there, and of course you can say "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time" because that was like the first big one. But Crazy. That video was like amazing, and I loved that video. And then for Christina, I would say like the What a Girl Wants song was like a little bit bigger than like Genie in a Bottle for me. But then, I loved Eminem.
True.
So there was a lot of Eminem on TRL as well.
Yeah.
But then you had like Blink 182, and those videos were like, so to actually list my top 5, no, I can't. There's so I agree with you to say that was like the end of the run of music videos on MTV, because you had already had Real World and Road Rules on that was like kind of infiltrating into MTV.
Right.
But then you had TRL going, ooh, music videos are coming back. And then they kind of like went away again. But I would love to see it again, because I do see that like music awards on
Right.
MTV or other places are still a thing, and they show these videos, and I'm like, where is that video aside from a clip of it on my TikTok? Like, what? I don't even know.
Right, like, I can't think I mean, the one that comes to mind that is well after the TRL well, I mean, TRL went on for a while, but
Hmm.
the core TRL era right around 2000,
Yeah.
when you go to Beyonce, Single Ladies, you
Yeah.
go, "Oh," and that's well after. Like, I that's my brain going, that's the last music video I can really think of that
Uh-huh.
made an impact.
Right.
It became an SNL sketch, whatever you wanna talk about there. But, and TRL did go on for a few years after, but this was, like, peak,
Yeah.
the final era of music videos.
Yeah, I do feel like Taylor Swift always stands
Mhm.
out as someone who is still doing music videos and has been for a while, like Shake It Off and one since then. I know she has had them since then as well. So like, yeah, it is hard to really think of like those are probably all like Shake It Off and Single Ladies are very old at this point. So it's also like we're still not talking about current things, but yeah,
One of these days, we gotta have Steffers on because I know she went to the Taylor Swift concert,
yes. Hmm.
but, because Taylor Swift, what is that movie? What is that movie?
With the
It's
guy
within,
and the
like, all they thought they were gonna do all these Love Actually, American version rom-coms with large casts. It was,
uh-huh.
like, New Year's Day or New Year's Eve
Yes,
or
Valentine's
maybe or
Day and
Arbor Day, I don't know what they were.
uh-huh.
But, the yeah, Taylor Swift was in one of those, and I felt like that I was just like, I don't know. And that was it for me with Taylor Swift.
That was it. Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
Not to disrupt her talent or, and I think obviously she's a juggernaut,
Yeah.
but, that connection was lost for me when I watched that movie.
I always feel like she is someone I don't know enough about her, so
Mhm.
please don't come for us, Swifties. I know that's what you're all called.
We're gonna get canceled on the first day of pop.
Yeah, exactly. Please don't come for us. We're old. Remember, we are old. So we're with Taylor Swift is almost beyond our time. But I do feel like when Taylor Swift started, because I think she started in country and she did the crossover,
Mhm,
and she was one of those people that was successful in that crossover. And I remember that. And I remember hearing from when she was even younger that she was like very in control of her business and her brand,
mhm,
which was very like refreshing and nice to hear because that was very hard to do for I think the the pop stars that came before her. And I think she has like a good connection to her audience. I think she's very smart
mhm.
how she's done her career and what she's been able to do. So I'm very like intrigued by Taylor, and but I've never like really jumped all in or learned enough, I guess I should
Yeah,
say.
there's a disconnect for me that probably has to do a lot with my age. But if
Yeah.
we talk, like, I'm glad you brought up the branding stuff
Yeah.
because I think even as we sit here with all our logos and all our
Mhm.
things here on this live stream screen, do you trace the idea of the brand in terms of
Mhm.
pop culture? Because I mean, yeah, we have Beyonce and you have Britney before that. You have people that are like but you would say that back then, like they're icons. They're,
Right.
Madonna is an icon,
Yeah.
kind of Michael Jackson's an icon. But I feel like with Taylor Swift, you start to see the shift towards the idea of a brand.
Yeah.
And, whether that's also, Macy's at the time was gobbling up Jessica Simpson and the
Mhm.
former president and whoever else they had at the time,
Yeah.
to be part of their line. It was Bieber part of the Macy's line?
Could be.
It
I
could
don't
be.
know.
But, so I think about that too. And, Regis had his own ties for a little while from Who Wants
Mhm.
to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
But I feel like we didn't start talking about brand
Yeah.
until Taylor Swift became larger than life. No pun intended, Backstreet Boys.
Haha. Yeah. It all ties back.
That's also another great Backstreet Boys
No,
song.
that's a great one. And that's one that is in that Go Noodle Kids Bop world a lot. I mean, my 8-year-old a couple years ago would like do the whole dance because
Mhm.
of that video. So
Oh,
I'm
man.
like, wow, it continues.
Yeah, and you mentioned Britney, and Britney's always been funny to me because while I always felt it was inappropriate to have kind of that male eye on
Mhm.
Britney Spears' videos, her videos are awesome.
Oh my god, always.
And so last night I was talking with Mrs. Dillo about the Britney musical that's coming out, which is called Once Upon a Time. Oh man, I biffed it. I biffed the name of it. It's like Once Upon a Time, a Princess or something like that. And I'm gonna have to look it up now.
Mhm.
But it's all Britney Spears music. If you read the blurb, the previews start on May 13th here in New York City, which is where I am. Jen is out on Long Island. Did we say that? I don't
We
know.
didn't, but
Yeah, good.
we're introducing ourselves all throughout the podcast. So
You're
it's
getting
good.
little tidbits along the
Yeah.
way.
Also, it's Once Upon a One More Time.
Thank you. Once Upon a One More Time. Thank you.
Mhm.
I should have realized that with the one more time. Once Upon a, it was like a big title. And sometimes if you can't pronounce the title right away, there might be a problem with the show. So I said, "Oh, are we going to see the Britney musical?" I said to Mrs. Dillo, and she was like, "No." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "We gotta go see Britney music," and she's like, "It's gonna be something." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I mean, but we still got to see it."
Right.
And I think really what we mean is we're hoping to not pay full price is what the Broadway tickets being what they are. We're not going with the Hamilton prices for
Sure.
Once Upon a One More Time. But basically, if you read the blurb for it, it is it reads like Six, which is a pretty big success here in New York City on Broadway.
Mhm.
Six meets what the heck? Six meets say it, Bad Cinderella, which is has gotten interesting reviews since opening a couple of months back. And those, if you read it, it's like, oh well, you got six Disney princesses or so, which reads like six because six is the story of the wives of Henry VIII. And then you got Bad Cinderella, which it puts a little twist on the fairy tale. And then you have it here, but with Britney Spears music. It's like a grim fairy tale book club or something, and the fairy godmother comes in, and their worlds get turned upside down. The world turned upside down. The 7-year-old was watching Hamilton this morning before school, like you do.
Obviously.
You watch Hamilton before you go to school.
Of course.
Some days it's Miles from Tomorrowland. Some days it's Hamilton.
The full spectrum. You mentioning this just as if I could just side tangent for a quick second is you talking about the show made me think of Alanis, who we have not mentioned because she also had videos on the TRL as well. Back to this, I want to know how much what does Britney, I mean, hashtag save Britney. I'm just going to let everyone know
Free
what
Britney.
side we're on. Free Britney. Save Britney. Free her.
Sure.
All the things.
All the
We
things.
love Britney. But like her involvement in this show, is she approving of the show? I mean, she doesn't have any. I know, but like, and I know her music's being used, and so I'm sure she, had to approve of all that. But like, did she? I just want to know the background over there before I fully support the show or not.
I mean, I remember when the show was announced, and I remember hearing the premise, and I was like, okay. And then I forgot about it promptly for 2 years or whatever. And then when I read it again this morning, I was like, oh, because I secretly, I mean, and you can't because there's a lot to it, but I kind of want the Britney biopic more than I do biopic, bio, whatever you want to call it, jukebox musical about the story of her life,
Yeah.
a la Jersey Boys and all these things.
Right.
More than, but I'm sure there's a lot of legality to that. But and that's probably why I don't like NSYNC as much either, because I'm obviously Team Britney as opposed to Team
I
Justin.
see.
I think there's also something to consider there.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Well, thanks for liking the video, the live stream here. I
Yeah.
just saw the thumb go, so please feel free to give your thumb as well.
What?
Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
Oh man, Romeo and Juliet. Can we do an episode on the Romeo and Juliet of the 90s?
I mean, that would probably be a good episode.
Yeah, I love that movie. All right, so back to TRL. I mean, do you think TRL could come back today in the same way and the same popularity it had back then? Because for us as New Yorkers, also, it filmed right in Times Square. It was right up against the window. You could walk by and see it being filmed. There was a crowd outside. They would go out into the crowd. They had the Who Wants to Be a VJ, which kind of launched
Hillary.
Hillary
Hillary
in her
Clinton.
career.
Yeah.
So, do you think that could like come back as a thing and people would get into it? Or do you think it's too far removed at this point because of social media and people's
Well, what's
brain
interesting
power?
to me, right, is one, the reboot era and what does and does not get rebooted.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm always it piques my curiosity of how that all goes and what determines those things.
Yeah.
To me, two things I thought were going to bring back TRL like a year ago. I
Mm-hmm.
was like waiting for it maybe a year and a half ago, and one was the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And going, okay, what are some of the things that you could do? Maybe low budget, I don't know. Like you
Right.
could still show music videos and host them, and you get an hour of easy programming, um, and then replay it 3 times a day. Uh, and the other thing was TikTok. And to me, the short term videos that, I mean, granted, not 7 seconds I'm talking about, but now as, some people are watching longer things on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok, made me think, oh, could we get to a place where we're now shooting cinematic versions of music videos and the TikTok
Right.
version of music videos? And I thought maybe that could possibly shape itself during, the COVID era, as it
Mm-hmm.
were. So it had surprised me that because if there was a time to do it, I thought a year and a half ago would be it. Considering all the things that rebooted, all the things that came to be, probably the cost could be low,
Yeah.
and then you're assuming that the music, it's free marketing for all
Yeah.
these bands, so they're paying for their own music video and just giving it to MTV. But I'm sure MTV has all the numbers and all the marketing things and what people are watching and not watching, that they determined, we don't need to do this. I don't know why. Can't even tell you what channel MTV is on my current cable system,
Yeah.
where I could
Yeah.
tell you 30
Mhm.
years ago, well, 20 years ago,
Mhm.
it was channel 29.
29.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Go five on the box,
Yeah.
and then you move the lever down 2, and that'd be 29.
Old. Yeah, it's an interesting thing because as you're talking about it, I'm thinking of like, what do I actually think as an answer to my own question? And I am thinking about how it almost has the same feel to me that like Saturday morning cartoons did back in the day, where, you
Mhm.
know, uh, that's not a thing anymore. Kids can watch whatever they want, whenever they want, and all their favorite shows. And it's great. But back in the day, you waited for the really good stuff on Saturday morning and you got to watch all your favorite cartoons. But also, there were things after school then as you got older to watch. And when TRL came along, that was one of those like shows you could watch after school. They purposely put it on at that time. And I don't know, because we don't have teenagers yet or anything. I don't know enough
Mhm.
about what kids are coming home and doing, after school or in between there. Right, exactly. I think it's
I'm
more
just
of that.
scrolling.
Yeah, and I also think, a lot of, kids saying kids, and I really feel like it's anyone in their 20s and lower. I'm just feeling very old as we talk more about this, but, like, are fully just they go into their room, they have their laptops or iPads or whatever, they put in their headphones, and they're binging shows, and they're watching Netflix, and they're watching all these other things that it's kind of like this lost art of coming home from school and putting on your favorite show because you can watch anything anytime you want now. So it's not as like it takes away that special little thing that TRL had at that time and also Saturday morning cartoons had in a similar fashion.
And I mean, too, when I see Backstreet Boys like on a commercial, I don't even know what the commercial is for
Mhm.
now. I'm like, I can't believe like we're at this place that like Backstreet Boys, like nostalgia is
Mhm.
like the premise. Again, I'm using premise for a television commercial. I was like, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm not gonna like say the Beatles or anything,
Mhm.
but I can't imagine. And maybe I'm wrong, and someone will prove it to me otherwise. Like, let's say the Bee Gees
Mhm.
doing a commercial for a household product in the late 90s. Like, but this is, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting with the Backstreet Boys, and we've been to 90s Con, so and we see the crowds that they
Yeah.
get. And I was at somebody's barbecue last summer, and they had just seen the Backstreet Boys up in Saratoga, and we're talking
Mhm.
about like how everyone was crazy for it. So that nostalgia is there. So when I see it, it's interesting to me. With Christina on The Voice, and she's like, "That's
Mhm.
what I do," and that's cool.
Yep.
And then the Backstreet Boys kind of just hitting the smaller venues and selling them
Mhm.
out.
Yep.
It's interesting to see where it is now after all this time, where Paul McCartney, Springsteen, they're selling out arenas
Yeah.
still. They're
Mhm.
still huge, but here they're taking it slow, and I would want to do a deep dive on that too, to see
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Where did it really turn?
Right.
Obviously Justin was gonna break out on his own, and NSYNC, that was the end of it. But
Yeah.
and Britney, it was a tabloid
Mhm.
PR situation all the time.
Yeah.
But for these other huge acts, even Eminem,
Yep.
you know like, what is their business model to go, and we're not going to do this?
Yeah, and you wonder if it is, what they went through back then and what they don't wanna deal with now. Is it just that them being in different places, or is it they're gonna do what they do and they can make money how they make money and just that's that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a interesting phenomenon on which path everyone from that time is taking at this
Yeah.
point.
Shout out to Joanne, who's got to go to work on a Monday morning. Thanks for checking us out this morning, Joanne. Appreciate it. As we wind things down because it's gonna be May, and this first edition ever live stream / in our audio podcast feed of Dillos Pop.
Pop.
Is there anything else we want to touch base on as it relates to this time period, and then we'll do all the plugs.
Yeah, I mean, I will probably continue to think about this all day and be like, "Oh, I should have probably talked about that." But, this probably feeds right into our plugs here because if people wanna continue the conversation with us, there's many ways to do that.
There's many ways to do that. Of course, first and foremost, we should mention our Patreon over at DillosDizResort.com. That is where you can help us create and grow our own brand. Thanks, Taylor Swift. Memberships start as low as $1 per month. That $1 gets you into the world-renowned, infamous, famously recognized one channel Discord. We don't like multiple Discords because we're old. Multiple channels, we won't do it. One Discord, one channel, madness ensues.
Yes.
And check us out at the $1 level, but feel free to go to the other levels as well. Tomorrow over at DillosDizResort.com, we think, if Jen's voice holds out, we will be recording the Theme Park Thursday with Dillos Diz podcast. The May the 4th edition. It's actually May the 4th when Theme Park Thursday happens this month. They finally worked it out, their schedules, the powers that be. We're like, oh, we should have May the 4th be on Theme Park Thursday, and it makes sense. So will Jen finish The Mandalorian by tomorrow morning in time for us to talk about it? Who can say? That's happening on Tuesday morning, May the 2nd. The recording of Theme Park Thursday, the podcast over at DillosDizResort.com. That is our Patreon. Of course, we are over on the Twitter and the Instagram at DillosDiz, the TikTok at Dillos Diz, but we have individuals as well. We have Janillo Talk, is that correct?
Yes, I think so.
Then Improving Frank, not Improving Frank, though. I think it's more improving these
Either
days
way.
than improving. But that is what's happening across the board. Of course, we are having a meetup this September. If you're checking out this live stream or listening to the audio for the first time, down in Walt Disney World, September 8th and 9th. September 8th, we'll be over at the Not So Scary Halloween party at the Magic Kingdom. And on Saturday the 9th, we'll be over at #AlwaysMGM, which also on May 1st celebrates its anniversary.
Oh, man. So much is happening.
I know. It is like meant to be that it's going to be May. And #AlwaysMGM celebrates the anniversary today. So things to think about all day long. Your favorite studios memories. Rest in peace, great movie ride. I mean, and I guess we should say, if you're checking this out for the first time, Jen and I both former workers in different capacities at Walt Disney World. Jen was a
operating participant.
Correct. And I was a cast member who worked in the studios. So then again, May 1st kind of makes me feel all nostalgic with the feels like we do here on this live stream, now known as Dillos Pop. You'll find this in our audio feed later today on the podcast. I don't know why. I'm glad we're running out of time because I cannot pronounce words anymore.
Oh, okay, good.
So good timing here.
Yeah.
Thanks for all of you hanging out in the chat.
Yes. If you are watching this in various places, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, do the whole thing.
Yeah. Until we pop up again. Yeah, I've been waiting to say that all morning. She's Jen, and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces.